What was there a period in time when Fred was not involved in their lives as well?
Whose?
Janice and Karen.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it wasn't like when he wasn't with y'all, he was over there with them.
No. No. He went with. He was truly the. And we've talked about this. Steve and I have had this conversation. In fact, he has many times said, you know, I wish I had a tape so I could have recorded what you were saying, and I can't remember what it is I was saying. But, yeah, Daddy was what was it, the Coasters or it was the Temptations. You know, that...
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Yeah. That came out right about that time. And that was exactly the image, you know, that I had. And see, I told him all of these things. See, because I was telling him just the other day, now that he's 80, I said, you know, I can remember when we were back at 2103 and you brought that other lady into the house and y'all stayed in this room. I said, I remember that to this very day. And that's a bad thing to do. I said, I did not like that. He said, oh, son. I said,
he brought her into who? Into Mama Velma's house?
Well, it wasn't Mama Velma's.
It was his mother's house.
It was his mother's house, you see. And we lived up the hill. By then, we lived in 2010. But we were in and out interacting between these two houses all the time. I mean, we lived in 2010 and Grandma lived down the hill, so we always were at her house. And I remember that lady's name forever.
What was her name?
See, his other wife's name was Sarah, I mean, but I cannot remember it now.
So it wasn't his other wife, it was just some...
No, it was just a lady. I said, y'all do not bring the other women around the house. So I guess it won't happen, you know, but yeah, it was interesting. Okay. Yes, it was really so good to hear that chronological presentation by Janice in relations to Fred in his early years, because I didn't know him. I didn't meet him until 1960. You need to come up and talk about the family, and it has been quite a remarkable family. I mean, we are not your nuclear family, as most people know. One mother and a father and a son and a daughter. We got two mothers, one father. Sort of goes with what the girls were kind of alluding to, but not really wanted to talk about. But since I met him in 1960, then I'll sort of take up the chronological period from there. Because I can remember, and you know, I had all of this scripture and in a resolution, and my wife once again, you know, refuses to allow me to sort of make a truthful presentation. You cannot do that again. So now I have to stand here and without the benefit of script, just sort of go through the chronology of it. In 1967, in 63, we actually started Freedom, and that's really when, you know, this budding relationship, father and son, began to develop. We all started working in Freedom Incorporated. And in 1967, Daddy ran for state rep. I don't know, not many of you probably know that. But I can remember because Karen, and I don't know, were you still in town, Judge? And that was the hardest election I had ever worked up until when Darwin ran. And that's the election that clearly has been the most difficult for me. But in 1967, yeah, you were here, Janice, because in 1967 he was running for state rep. And we haven't really had campaigns within our community like we did then, but we were really rolling along, a lot of emotion in the street. Janice, Karen, and I was all working. Darwin was working. Well, you might have been in California. Okay, yeah. The two other boys of the family at that time, Durham, he wasn't of age to where he could do anything anyhow. But the three of us were out there really working. And then all of a sudden across KPRS, bam! It said, child abandoner, Fred Curls. I mean, Bourbon Fisher was over the airways in about every 15 minutes. This came forward. I mean, it absolutely destroyed him. I mean, he was mentally wrecked. He was going to get his gun to shoot Bourbon Fisher for being on the radio. And Janice and I, we were all trying to think, well, how can we counter this? We'll go down and tell him, no, he didn't abandon us, we the children. But it was on record. It was on record. I mean, me and Janice talked about the car. I mean, that was so interesting because it was me and Melba, and how old were you, Monica? About 5 years old. We went over to get him out of jail, and he looked at Monica. You know how he just bites him. Starts sucking on his teeth. Oh, Lord. But we used to get him about every Friday. Every Friday, Allen Hood, 23rd and Prospect. We'd have to go down there and get him out. And, I mean, he really only learned that he was an Indian and that firewater had its total impact on him when he hit that bridge. I mean, that's the same day he got arrested. But he hit that bridge and saw that car after that and been going to church ever since. I know Shirley and Rufus used to always talk about him because as soon as he started going to church, then everything that he used to do, he now was just preaching about it. Everybody said, you're nothing but a reform center yourself out here. But I got to tell you I got two classics now. One classic it was when Millicent was still here, so that was in like 68. In 1968 and 69, we used to go up to Prairie Lea with the boat. Millicent had a boat, and we'd all go up to the boat, and we'd camp out, and we'd all run around. Mark and all of them were little people then, and Monica was 4 years old.
No, not then.
No, 68, okay, I don't remember who was little. But we had a whole lot of little babies, just like in here now with this next generation. So they had to be, Michael and Philip and all the little babies. And so, we talk about Daddy having, drinking, and he really did. But we had a cooler, and we took the baby's formula up in the cooler. He took the baby's formula out of the cooler in the hot summertime such that the formula spoiled and put his beer into the cooler. And when approached by it, he said, just let the baby drink beer. Let the baby drink beer. Now we got to come to the finale, and I really, sort of called Janice and Mike and everybody and said, we need to have this 80th birthday party because things are changing. Doris Rich, you'll see her tomorrow. She's a lady that works at the house with me. And she talks about, your daddy's over on the veranda of his apartment just going, she told me, he's just out on the banister stretching, and he just trotting around just as fast and walking and talking tough with his little ponytail. Then all of a sudden, he went with me down to Jeff City, and he was, couldn't I I called Janice or somebody and said, hey, things are really getting bad. Come to find out. Come to find out. Come to find out. And you know, in my resolution, I said it this way. Bob Dole is a better pitch man than he was a candidate for president, as he has led many a pretender to the downfall. And whoever I said, they said, well, what is that all about? That's kind of in the sky. He had gotten him a Viagra prescription and had 10 pills. Now, the last time he told me he had 6, so one of them's gone. So he's getting around here talking about this Viagra. Next thing I know, he's in the hospital, got to have a pacemaker. Now, you saw him sitting here in this interview with these shorts, because he's blazing with these shorts. You know, he brings me pictures every once in a while. Son, can you blow this up? I said, who's all these people? Oh, they just some friends of mine. I ask all y'all to come for his 80th, because if he keeps messing with that Viagra, he won't make 81. But
Daddy woke up.
What are you doing to his hair?
He looks happy as ever. And everyone there, hey, how you doing? Cheers. Ryan Brown. Chris. Wife and daddy. Say hi, cheese. Come closer, dear. No,
We're closer. We're having pizza.
We are.
Family
Oh,
moment.
man, you're clumsy. Tried.
In a driving range, singing Ain't No Mountain High Enough with such grace and beauty and style.
Yeah, it was.
Diana Ross.
What?
I didn't even know they had one of them.
I had one of what?
Driving around
Who is driving around?
Central Park.
Oh, yeah, it was pouring down rain.
No, driving rain, not driving range.
Well, that's what she said. That's why I said I didn't know they had one there.
They know driving range. Daddy's like, yeah. Well, two people have two different conversations. I didn't know they had a driving range since. Oh yeah, it was pouring. Wow.
He's singing.
Bad hitters.
Okay, go ahead, boss.
Let's go. Sing up. Let's hear it.
Sing something for me. This is Joshua, age 2. Go ahead, hit it, boss. I do everything. I do. Yeah, that's my man.
You gonna be a performer, buddy.
Singing Jay-Z's greatest hits. I do everything. I do everything. I do everything for you. Yeah, that's my man.
I never knew where to
Come here, Josh.
Joshua. Stop calling him Josh.
Huh?
Don't call him Josh. Call him Joshua.
Oh, Joshua. Come here, Joshua.
Did you have to use me as
Come
the
here.
road to get there?
Yeah, buddy boy. Ain't you the best? You're just such a smart little baby.
Does this cheese want anyone?
Who?
What did he say? You?
He said, I gotta go home. I said, who? He said, you.
Well, he said,
I'm
where
staying
did
here
I go?
with
I
you.
told him they went home, so you know you don't belong here either. Tell us both to get out of town.
Hey, buddy boy, with your slick shoes and everything. But your talking is just, you the right age. I just love little babies your age. Of course. All right, take your shoes off.
Is this something we
But
need?
even at your age, you gotta be able to call the mamas and say, "Whoop, time for relief."
Do we need this receipt?
What are they for?
You taking your socks off too?
NCR.
You ain't gonna take your socks off, are you?
There's a check up here. Maybe I need this.
Did you put those checks in the bag? No.
Well, this one I'm about
Wait,
to
but you
throw in
didn't
the
put it on.
trash.
Oh, I guess you did.
Well, okay, I'm just getting a little.
Josh, look at the camera.
Can I
Joshua.
throw this
Okay,
money else
Joshua.
away?
What is that?
Did you see this one? 2.7.
Joshua, let me hear you sing.
He's not buying.
What you gonna sing?
Say cheese.
Okay, sing.
Here's a list of
Sing the ABC song.
A B D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q U R
Oh, man, he's messing up.
Q R
I guess if you rearrange
S T U V
Maybe we could
W
give
X
Y
Y.
and Z.
Now you've heard my
it.
ABCs.
Wrong back, girl. Yeah, I said it's gonna work. I told
You
her
want
to
to play the
stop.
piano?
I said, well, I said,
Where's
so
the
where-
piano?
I said, did you move out? She said, yes. I don't have any furniture.
Huh?
nothing.
A bed, two mattresses.
Where's the
I said,
piano?
You need to move back home.
Are you trying to learn how to play the piano?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I just played it to hear.
To
Can I
hear.
throw this out? Is this yours?
Sometimes I need to hear that I'm hearing the right part, so I play it on the piano. And if it sounds right there, then I'll know I'm singing, hearing the right stuff.
I think Shania might be a little bigger.
You mean run it?
Yeah.
We can dust a few pounds on it.
Can we go back to Shania Twain? We was getting caught up in the singing.
Yeah, right. Whose is this?
Just sing a song for me, Joshua.
I had to wear that yesterday.
Oh, well, I just didn't know someone had left.
When I was,
I just
Sing the
noticed,
Itsy
you know,
Bitsy Spider song.
You know, with all the people around.
I could get Mom and Dana quiet. I could hear you.
Who do you think that is at the door?
Okay.
Bitsy bitsy spider. Rip-de-dip-de-doo.
Do you know words that he knows?
No.
He couldn't even do the ABC song. He done messing the letters up and everything. Man, be quiet. If you're not gonna help, if you're not singing solid backup, then be quiet. He can mess it up and be cute.
Rip-de-dip-de-dip-de-doo.
Put them on. Let's see how smart you look. Put the glasses on. There we go. Yeah, now you look like Paw-Paw. Show Mommy.
let me see.
Hey, Cool. What's up,
He
Cool?
looks like the little boy from Jerry Maguire.
He does.
He looks like...
Because his glasses were kind of
And
big
they
like
pinched his
that.
nose like that.
That's cute.
Turn around, Joshua. Say goodnight. Say goodnight up there.
Right.
Say goodnight, Paw-Paw.
We're
Bye-bye.
going to try on Jordan
All right.
just to see what we got here.
And I say good night. Here we are at Scrabble board on Daddy Mini butt whipping that I'm giving out tonight. There's Nikki stressing in pain. She's moving. She's moving.
How you spell that?
Highline.
What the hell is that?
How you spell it? You don't watch the Land of the Lost.
Sounds good to me.
I'm on your side.
Highline?
Yes, that's the
Oh,
word.
there's a name from Land of the Lost?
the Land of the Lost.
Dude, come on now.
I did.
Is it pylon a word?
I believe it is.
Okay, yes, we believe it is. Okay. That means it's going to be
Daddy.
challenged.
I thought it was the thing called that you knock over in the street.
Pylon.
Yeah, I just want to move. Okay. Yeah, we talked a lot about your father and what he did.
Well, that is very interesting, you know, because as you go through the reminisce, of course, my mother could do no wrong. She basically was the standard bearer of whatever in my mind was good. So that whatever she was, that had to equate to good because she was good. Now, that put me in conflict with church teaching.
How's that?
Well, because she was unmarried, she she was did not fit within the constraints of what the church had indicated.
And you mean like the Catholic Church?
Well, as it related to marriage and the absence or right. So, you know, my mother in my mind she was, you know, I don't know anything that I can say negative about her. I mean, I don't have any memories of anything that would be negative. I mean, she had a very genteel approach. She was very much for her kids. You could visualize the sacrifice that she made. You know, of course, I told her about the one time that she had a fellow over to the house, too. But, you know, even in that situation, you are angry at your father and your understanding of your mother. You know, although I did, you know, tell her about that. And we were still young, too, when I told her.
How old were you that you can remember?
I can't remember. I mean, I'm 16, 17, 18, but we were very much, matriarch. I mean, it was that there was nothing that she could have asked that I could have done that I would not have done. Daddy and I had a fallout over that, too. One time, she was wanting to get a car, and they were married. And I never even gave it any thought that I was in violation. You know, they were married, and she wanted to buy a car. I didn't realize that he was being, you know, trying to use the car situation as leverage. You see, so she asked me, so I said, okay, so I went.
What do you mean? She asked you to what? Help her buy a car?
Well, she said she was trying to get a car. So I went and arranged the loan and got the car, and Daddy was all upset and came and was closing. And I told him, I said, let me tell you, you know, I understand what you're saying in hindsight, but I gotta tell you, anytime Mama comes and asks me for anything, I'm gonna do it. So, I mean, I understand, but, and see, he had been back, probably, this was in, cause let me see, he came back in 1959.
Back where?
That's when I recall his resuming. That's when they married.
So your to that point they had not been married and
No,
like
they
separated. Okay.
See, I thought they had been, but they hadn't. They didn't get married until 1959 for the first time. I didn't realize that. That's something that they've later told. But yeah, that was it. It just wasn't anything, but she was a very strong matriarchal person and very gentle. I mean, I remember many of my friends' mothers who either were, you know, and specifically Cecil Williams and Harry Harris and just their mindsets relative to their mothers. And, you know, I mean, I was just shocked in relations to hearing someone express those attitudes relative to their mothers. I never did, nor did I ever feel it from any time, either mother or grandmother. That's why sometimes when Quincy has expressed his attitudes about his grandmother, it leaves me in tears because I could not even understand. But, yeah. No, I don't, I mean, I cannot, in the whole history of my recollection of my mother, do I have one negative anything. You know, right there. I mean, whether it be that she argue a lot, you know, I mean, she just was a nice little docile person.
What was the?
Not too pretentious, at least not by any recollections I have. I'm sure that there are others who may have seen her from a different light that could show some of her shortcomings. I always told them.
And here's Grandma. And she's eating some more.
Get back, boy.
Hey, Grandma.
You too close, Michael J. Get on back.
Ooh, isn't she cute? Oh, get close. Act like you like each other.
No, she's wet.
Maybe you can talk, Grandma, and put the plate down in about a half second. And here we have the Curls women eating a delicious meal. Yes, here we have them. Excuse me, Mrs. Curls and Mrs. Curls, could you please tell us how you feel about world hunger as you eat your fourth plate of potato chips, please?
I don't want to be in it.
Okay, she does.
There's some right there.
Okay.
Woo! Let's smell it, shall we?
Woo!
Give me a beer, dog.
Yes. Hey, slow down. Hey, what's up, babe? Zoom in on that face. Woo-wee. A face only a grandchild can love.
She's got to go to the toilet.
She's got to go to the toilet. Look at her step. Yeah, let's see those dancing feet there. As she goes in the building.
What kind of things can you remember that she did? You know, whether it be cooking or cleaning or what was her?
Well, she always cooked. She was just genuinely a nice person. I mean, we played games together. We made puzzles together. I think my early game and puzzle thing, you know, truly emanated from her. We used to build puzzles all the time. That's, you know, a very early recollection that I have of, you know, building puzzles. We had puzzle boxes for days. Really. I mean,
The three of you, her and Darwin, or just you and her? Or?
I think all of us.
Yeah.
Michael was not into the puzzles. He wasn't into them then. He ain't into them now. I mean, he was street. I mean, and like I said, he was on the street from age 12. I mean, all of us, you know, have been street hustlers from an early age, or at least Mike and I have. From an early age, but Millicent would, you know, we would all do puzzles, and that's. I mean, she would see early on. I had no idea about that there was any steak other than a round steak, because Mama used to buy these round steaks and she would beat them.
So you thought that's what steak was?
That's it. I mean, you see, but you would get this steak and she would beat this steak, and then these steak was always smothered in gravy with onions and mushrooms in it. Yeah, I need to use the bathroom.
Yeah, okay.